Welcome to Chris's Storytelling Corner. My name is Christopher Moldong, and I am an author specializing in the fantasy genre. Today, I will do manga reviews for Negima volumes 25 to 28. Next week, I will review volumes 29 to 32. Also, check out my reading of The Wizard, the Shadow, and the Tree, pages 4 to 6. And next week, my reading of The Orthodox Clash, pages 1 to 5. Here is the synopsis for The Orthodox Clash. Corporate America meets boxing in The Orthodox Clash. Bob Commons, an everyday office worker, trains in boxing and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. When his boss, Brick Crookshark, begins to train boxing at the same gym, events lead to them fighting each other in an amateur boxing match. You can check out my author's website at www.chrismoldong.com. You can buy my first novel, a fantasy adventure called The Mustard Prince in the Condiment Kingdom, for $4.99. That one is actually greatly influenced by anime and manga. Also, for $1.99, you can buy my short stories and short story collection, starting with The Land of the Wooden Statues. Then there's the Horror Collection, which is a compilation of 3 of my gothic horror short stories. And the Fantasy Fable Collection, which is a compilation of 4 of my Fantasy Fable short stories. Check out my Twitter page and author's Facebook page. Links to all these will be provided on the description. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and comment to this channel if you're on YouTube, or follow, share, and comment on this channel if you're listening to this on SoundCloud. If you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher, please rate, review, and share this channel. So, the way that this works is I will give a pretty detailed recap of each volume. They will have spoilers, of course. And after each volume that I review, I'll give my own personal thoughts to them. So, let's get started with volume 25. The volume starts with Negi angry at fate. Nodoka and Haruna come to where Chisame is to spy on them. One of Fate's people, Sarabe, approaches them and gets her Pacto card out to fight them. The 3 get their Pacto cards to fight back. Fate gives Negi another proposition. Fate will give up on getting Asuna, and Negi and his group just keeps quiet and ignores him. He wants to destroy the world, apparently, but has a reason to do it. Konoko tells Rakan that Fate has appeared, but Rakan wants nothing to do with it. She convinces him to help, but 2 of Fate's people, Kiyomi and Tamaki, appear so that they can stop him. So Rakan fights against them. Haruna, Chisame, and Nodoka fight against Sarabe. He uses a violin and has a sound wave attack. Nodoka uses her artifact and asks for her name. Haruna creates Retreat Kun to escape. Sarabe follows them and attacks by playing the violin. With Nodoka's mind reading, though, they're able to avoid her attacks. Sarabe, though, uses an attack that causes them to crash, and they all get injured. Kotaro shows up and breaks her violin bow, though. Koyomi and Tamaki use their artifact, and Compendentia Infinita, that takes Rakan and Konoko to a large barrier space. Holograms of the 2 speak to them as Rakan destroys the place by throwing large swords around. On an Ariadne patrol ship, Emily Sevensheep, who's the class rep, tells everyone that they have their first mission, which is to get things under control from a disturbance in the North Market, probably from an impromptu street fight. Fate tries to convince Negi not to get his students in danger and to live happy lives in their own world. He then tells Negi to say, from here on, I will not interfere or get involved with you in any way. Negi almost says it, but Asuna stops him by hitting him in the face, and then she hits Fate in the face. After a speech from Asuna, Negi answers to Fate no. Fate attacks Setsuna with spikes, but she dodges. She then knocks a high-class magical item from his hand. Fate and Negi fight, with Negi using the Magia Rebia. Fate treats Negi like he's not on his level though, and Fate explains that Magia Rebia is similar to taking steroids in that it only increases power output. Negi, though, hits Fate clean in the stomach. Fate admits that Negi is worthy of fighting him. Back with Rakan and Kanoka, Tamaki and Koyomi tell them that the barrier space spreads out to infinity and has no exit. Rakan throws and rides a giant sword along with Kanoka and Chamo. I guess Chamo was with them too. And finds out where the real Tamaki and Koyomi are. Apparently they were 30 kilometers away. Rakan defeats them by constantly flipping their skirts. He then uses an attack that he calls Great Dimensional Smash to break the barrier space. He didn't think it'd work, but it did. Kotaro fights Sarabe. He gets Haruna, Nagadoka, and Chisame and retreats. With the Ariadne security coming, Sarabe then retreats. Tsukuyomi appears and fights against Setsuna, who is like using her wings. Another one of Fate's women controls fire and fights against Asuna. In an alley, another one of Fate's women appears behind Asuna. So Fate and Negi continue to fight, and Fate gets the better of him. Kotaro with Nodoka appear behind Fate. Nodoka, using one of her artifacts, asks for his name. They then retreat, and Fate tries to follow them. Nodoka and Kotaro find out that Fate's real name is Tertium, and Fate catches up to them and turns half of Kotaro's body into stone. He tries to turn Nodoka into stone, but Negi stops him. Asuna and Rakan, along with Kanoka, join in the fight against Fate. Tsukuyomi and Setsuna continue to fight, and Tsukuyomi gets the better of her. Tsukuyomi then receives a telepathic message to stop fighting and retreat, and then Fate retreats. Rakan tells Negi that he had met Fate a long time ago, and there's more trouble than he thought. Nodoka's diary got turned into stone, but everything before, that, final page, I guess, or two, the page that was open, it is still there and intact. Negi then retreats, but runs into Yue, who is, armored. Colette comes along, recognizes Negi as a criminal, and tries to apprehend him. Yue tells Negi to run and to knock her unconscious, so Negi successfully retreats. So everyone is now back on the Great Paru-sama. Setsuna is frustrated with her fight against Tsukuyomi, who said that as long as she is human, Setsuna will never beat her. On a floating rock, Negi details the events of what happened against Fate. Setsuna presents to Negi the item that Fate dropped, which is Enemos Eto Fragus. I can't pronounce it, really, to be honest with you. It's a magic item that forces someone to honor the words of a contract no matter what. Nodoka reveals to everyone Fate's real name, Tertium, which means third in Latin. She also shows them a part of the picture diary that is still intact. They manage to see the next page, and it says, 10 years ago we struck each other down. Rakan then decides to show them all a film of who the enemy really is. So 21 years ago, Rakan is hired to target Nagi, Aishun, and Albero, and another boy, actually, that is part of Nagi's group. Rakan throws a sword at them while they're eating, and Aishun attacks him. He uses Aishun's weakness, which is women, against them, and then fights against Nagi. Nagi and Rakan fight to a seeming draw, and then Rakan joins up with them. While Rakan talks about the Great War and battles that they a la Rubra fought, Gato and Takamichi eventually join up with them. Gato informs everyone that the secret society Cosmo Intellectia has gotten into the center of both the Empire and the Confederation. At their home capital, they are introduced to Vespertasha Kingdom's Princess Eureka. It's implied that she's that Himiko-chan's, or Asuna's older sister. It's explained that Princess Eureka was to be the mediator between the Empire and the Confederation, but didn't have enough power on her own, so she came to Ala Ruba for help. Cosmo Entelekia is a mysterious group that seemingly wants a war to happen, but their true identity remains a mystery. So, they're on vacation, the Alaruba guys are, but, or at least Rockon is. And Alaruba began an investigation on Cosmo Entelekia. Rockon just kind of relaxes. Nagi hangs out with Princess Arika while the rest go undercover. Gato reveals to Rockon that the consul, the number 2 man of Megalo Mesembria, is a part of Cosmo Entelekia. An explosion happens nearby, and Nagi and the Princess Arika destroy an enemy base. Nagi obtains some sort of proof about the consul being in league with the terrorists. So Gato contacts Senator McGill about the news, and Senator McGill wants them to meet, along with bringing the evidence. So at the meeting, Nagi quickly discovers that the person they're talking to is not Senator McGill, and Nagi uses fire magic on him, and he reveals himself to be Fate, but he looks older. He also has 2 henchmen with him as well. So Fate apparently fakes his voice to sound like Senator McGill on a cell phone and calls for reinforcements. He then accuses Nagi and his group to be traitors and spies of the Empire, and to get chased out of the capital. Princess Ulrika is imprisoned in Noctis Labyrinthus, and they attempt to free her. At the end of the volume, Negi just kind of thinks about Princess Ulrika and says, "It can't be." So some thoughts on volume 25. Nate and Negi, or Fate and Negi, have a very strange relationship, actually. It's not necessarily hatred, but intense rivalry where, at least in Negi's case, he seems to just want to defeat him in battle. I don't know if he, hates him, per se, but he really wants to fight him. And obviously, Fate gets on his nerves. I mean, Fate is terribly condescending to Negi. From the way he drinks his tea, to just what he's doing, and to, how little Negi seems to understand the situation, at least in Fate's eyes. Fate's motives are still unclear. He seems to need Asuna for something, but doesn't want Negi to interfere. So, I mean, Negi's got to be a threat. Asuna's got to play a pretty big role in this. He's kind of surprised that Tsukiyomi fought Setsuma in a very one-sided affair in favor of Tsukiyomi. I would guess that Setsuna gets stronger in the near future. Fate's like girls, they appear to be something more of a nuisance than anything else. They're not terribly strong, but they're definitely a challenge for all the side characters and all of Negi's class, who has all the Pactios. It looks like the super strong characters like Rockon pretty much beats them pretty easily. The stuff with Alaruba was really cool. In battle, they appear to have no equal. It seems like what they're doing is both, it's political along with just very action packed. So Alaruba is right in the middle of what seems to be a conspiracy. Where it leads to, we don't really know yet. It's kind of obvious who Princess Erika is to Negi, and he seems to have an idea as well. There's an obvious potential romantic relationship between Erika and Nagi as well, and it's just pretty apparent right away. So, in volume 26, the volume begins with Nagi saving Princess Erika. We're introduced to the third princess of the Hellas Empire, Princess Theodora, who is at odds with Rockon. It seems like maybe there's something there. I don't know. But Erika says that the whole world is against them. She then, knights Nagi. After many battles, Alaruba finds the headquarters of Cosmo Entelekia at the Graveskeeper Palace in Ostia. Alberio tells them that they've already begun the ceremony to return the world to nothing. The key to the world, the Imperial Princess of Twilight, is in their hands. Fate and some of his companions are waiting for Alaruba, and they defeat Fate and those companions, but the real boss appears, who is known as the Life Maker or the Mage of the Beginning. The Life Maker cuts off Rakan's arms and greatly injures everyone else. Nagi and Zect, who's like another member of Ala Rubra that you don't really know much about, um, and someone that Nagi refers to as Master, fight against the Life Maker. To everyone's surprise, Nagi defeats the Life Maker, but the Life Maker already finished the ceremony. A large ball of light appears and keeps getting bigger. Megalo Messembria's International Warfleet flagship appears, led by Captain Ricardo. The Empire's Northern Armada appears. Um, Princess Theodora is in that ship along with Takamichi. Princess Ulrika is in another ship along with Kato. They all surround the ball to suppress the ball of light using magic, and it works. They have a huge celebration. Nagi becomes a hero and household name in the magical world. The students ask Rakan if Nagi and Princess Ulrika were doing it. He says it's a secret. Rakan tells Negi that his father's work as a Magister Magi was during the 10 years after the events that Rakan just showed. Chisame observes that there are a ton of holes in Rakan's story. She says that there are a lot of problems after the war. Nagi then became a Magister Magi, I guess because of those problems. We see the base of Fate's group, and Anya is detained with magic. Asuna is chained up against a pillar. One of Fate's women, Shiori, kisses Asuna and turns into Asuna. As Asuna, Shiori tells Homura, another one of Fate's girls, that Fate has spent 10 years perfecting this spell. I guess like shape-shifting or something. So Shiori, as Asuna, flips the switch and is back in the alley where Shiori apprehended her to begin with. But she doesn't seem to know what has happened to Homura. Homura explains that Shiori's artifact, Signum Biolegans, is a disguise spell that not only copies the outward appearance of its target and makes her personality and reactions identical to the original. Homura tells Asuna that there is no one in the magical world as important as her. Homura threatens to hurt Anya, but Fate tells her to stop and says that that girl is human. Fate uses a cancellation spell on Asuna, so we kind of see her mind, and she sees like a younger version of herself dressed in like this unique garb. The little girl asks like, "Who are you?" Or the younger version of her. Negi then, back with Negi, he makes a probationary contract with Kaede. So Kaede's artifact is an old cloth that does stealth camouflage. Inside of the cloth is a house. Haruno mentions that the only person in the group that doesn't have a contract is Kufei. Kufei doesn't want to make one yet, so they get to hot springs in Austria. Negi and Kotaro run into the bounty hunters that attack Nodoka, but they are all friendly with each other. They tell Negi that the weird man who kept saying boobies is a woman named Palzi. Palzi has some shenanigans with the other girls in hot springs. Really not much else to talk about there. Kaede, Setsuna, Chachimaru, Haruna, Asakura, and Sayo go to the ruins of Old Ostia. Chachimaru says that she feels one or two Ala Alba badges in the area from New to Old Ostia. Asakura uses her spy golems with Sayo riding one of them to find the badges. So back at the festival, the girls, who aren't slaves, eat the candy to become like small or chibi sized. Negi and Kotaro keep winning their fights in the tournament. Rakan watches the fights from a balcony. Princess Theodora of the Hellas Empire, Megalo Mesembria Senator Ricardo, and Ariadne Magic Knight's Grandmaster Ceres visits Rakan. Rakan reveals to them that Nagi the Gladiator is actually Nagi's son Negi. He then tells them that he is entering the tournament. Rakan shows Negi the strength chart and shows that Negi has indeed gotten stronger. Magia Arabia makes him very powerful, but still not as powerful as Fate. So Negi, Kotaro, Natsumi, and Akka watch Kagetaro's fight. Kagetaro brings out a partner, and it is Jack Rakan. Backstage, a question why Rakan joined the tournament. Rakan says that he is the door to there. meaning like strong people like Fate, Nagi, and Evangeline stage. He then tells Negi, let's do this. Negi. Chalma does research on Rakan and he comes to the conclusion that he is impossibly strong. Negi tells Kotaro, Chalma, and Chisame to come with him to the floating rock reef to try out a new spell. He uses a 1,000 lightning bolt spell, but Negi tells him it's incomplete and takes long to cast. Negi proposes to use a Magia Arabia armament to load the 1,000 lightning bolt spell into himself. Evangeline appears and says that it'll never work. That's a fake Evangeline from Scroll, and that Negi does not believe that it'll work. Nadoko, Yuna, Kanoka, Make, and Princess Theodora holding a scroll appear. Theodora tells Negi that she was friends with Nagi and Princess Erika. She then apologizes to Negi for being unable to do for Erika. Negi, though, doesn't know what she's talking about, and Theodora tells Negi to forget what she said. Senator Ricardo and Grandmaster Saras appear. They offer to help train Negi and Kotaro. Ricardo will teach him martial arts. He said that he'll work closely with Kotaro. And Saras' teaching specialty is fighting magic. Theodora will provide support. She reveals that Negi's showdown with Rakan is in 3 days. And she brings out a dioramatic magic sphere that can stretch 3 days into 30. Kind of like the resort, like Evangeline's resort, pretty much. So Negi and Kotaro train. You see Negi sits on a beach with Princess Theodora. He asks her if Princess Erika was his mother, and she says that she can't answer that question. She then kisses him and makes a patio card with them and calls it trump card number 1. Right before the finals, Negi and Kotaro are still training. Negi is inside a fake Evangeline scroll. She tells everyone that he can train, or Evangeline tells everyone that he can train 72 times longer. But Nadoko reveals that in the scroll, Negi can train mentally but not physically. So, they get out of their magic spaces and head to the tournament. At the end of the volume, Negi and Kotaro begin their battle against Rakan and Kagetaro. Negi immediately uses his new patio card. So, thoughts on volume 26? As far as the Ala Rubro stuff, Nagi seems to have feelings for Princess Erika. It's pretty obvious. Yeah, it makes you think though. If Rakan is ridiculously powerful, Nagi must have been downright invincible. Because, you know what I mean? Rakan just got wrecked by the mage at the beginning. Nagi beats the mage at the beginning. The mage at the beginning was pretty mysterious. And so was Zect. Who is this boy that Nagi called Master, and what was the goal of the mage? You know, you see the mage, you see that the mage at the beginning is super strong, but you don't really know what the goal was, the motivation, who he was. You know, it's just not much is known except that you know that the mage of the beginning was indeed the final enemy. It looks like as far as the next volume goes, Nagi and I'll call him Kojiro because that's what he calls himself in gladiator form versus Rakan and Kagetaro look like to be the big thing of the next volume. It's definitely an interesting fight knowing how powerful Rakan is, but we'll also see Negi's improvement, so that's pretty cool. Or Nagi's improvement. You gotta see Kaede's artifact. It's very fitting for her. I can imagine that it'll be put to use in the future. It has to be said now, but man, I don't know if Akamatsu knows how to draw him, but he definitely drew Princess Theodora to be quite attractive. The way he drew her, yeah, she looks to have feelings for Rakan. I don't know if anything is going to happen with that, but we shall see. It's also interesting that Rakan is, he's willingly being the antagonist here. So, you don't really know why he's joining the tournament. You would guess that it's some sort of test or whatnot for Negi. because he just kind of up and joined. Maybe he thinks it's fun. I don't know. Um, and finally, using Shiori, it looks like Fate got Asuna while also having something. He has a mole, if you think about it, on Negi's side, and then he got Asuna. So Asuna's going to play some huge role here. She is the Imperial Princess of Twilight. Um, don't know what that is exactly, but obviously for Fate's plans, um, she's gonna play some sort of big role. Negi, you know, we have to think that Negi will eventually find out about Shiori, maybe, um, in some way, shape, or form. We'll see. So, volume 27. The volume begins with Nagi using his new artifact, which is a pocketbook. Nagi then incants the most powerful lightning spell there is. Rakan throws a giant condensed chi halberd at Nagi and Kojiro. Both come away unfazed as Nagi holds Asuna's evil destroying sword. So it can, that can cancel out like magic spells and whatnot. Nagi puts the sword away and reveals that his pocketbook artifact holds all of the Pacto cards that he's made with his students so far. His artifact lets Nagi freely use his partner's artifacts. Nagi then challenges Rakan to close combat, and then Nagi transforms and his body gets surrounded by lightning, or he might just actually be living lightning incarnate. He then punches Rakan in the face. Kojiro fights against Kagetaro during this time. Nagi gets faster and reveals the attack as Thunder in Heaven Great Vigor, where he becomes lightning itself. Nagi uses lightning speed's Shundo. He then attacks him, Rakan, with a powerful attack, Chia Yabiru Lightning. Rakan uses Guts defense against it. Kojiro goes into beast mode against Kagetaro, and then Nagi then attacks Rakan with Zero Distance Jovis, Tempestus, Fulgurians, and puts Rakan down. Kojiro then puts Kagetaro down. Just knocks him out pretty much. Then they flashback 2 days earlier. Akko is taking care of Nagi's injuries. Nagi reveals to Akko that Rakan is actually the ultimate hard worker, because everyone thinks he's super talented and whatnot. It's more that he works really hard to get where he's at. He's back in the fight. Rakan gets up and laughs. Then he gets serious. He gets into a fighting stance, which he hasn't done yet. Rakan then fights Nagi, and Rakan is faster than him and gets the better of him, despite Nagi being lightning. Fate is watching the fight on a monitor. Rakan tells Nagi that new spells have weak spots. He tells him that his lightning attack has these hello streamers, as he calls it, that allows him to pretty much sense when Nagi's gonna attack, and allows Rakan to counterattack. Rakan then uses one of his attacks, Negi Fever, which is more of a distraction to just hit him with a strike and puts Nagi down. So we're back to a flashback 2 days ago. Tosaka shows Nagi proof of him turning into Negi Springfield, the wanted criminal. Akko overhears them. Nagi reveals that his true form is that of a child, and Tosaka is surprised. Tosaka presents Nagi with a slave collar and wants him to be his slave. Akko kind of comes in the middle of it and spills curry dinner all over Tosaka. Akko reveals to Akira that she found out the truth about Nagi, that Nagi is indeed Negi. Akko goes to where Tosaka is with his friends and tells Tosaka to leave Nagi alone. She tells him that he can do anything he wants her. It's revealed to Akko that the contract limits her freedom but ensures her safety. However, if she wishes it, the restriction no longer applies. Tosaka gets angry and gives Akko the evidence about Nagi. He says that it's just got boring. It's revealed that Tosaka, the chief, and Vargas-san were slaves, which is like a third guy that you sometimes see. The chief and Vargas then became gladiators, and Tosaka was the first to be freed. Tosaka then became a gladiator and freed the two. Uh, Tosaka then beats up Nagi for not believing that he can beat Rock-On. Later, Akko confesses his love to Nagi. It's back to the battle. Nagi gets up with runes all over his body. He asks for 43 seconds from Kojiro so that Nagi can do something big. Kagetaro attacks Kojiro with 1,000 spears, like those shadow spears that he uses. Nagi uses the pocketbook to help Kojiro, and Kojiro uses Beast Form's secret technique while holding the evil destroying sword in his mouth. Kojiro stabs Kagetaro with the sword. Rock-On stabs Kojiro while he's in beast form with his giant sword. Nagi then uses trump card number 3, Duplex Complexio, which is Thunder and Heaven Great Vigor 2. Apparently, Mei, Takane, Masora, and Kokone appear in the audience next to Negi's friends, and they're all watching the fight. With Negi's new form, he is in constant lightning form and fights at close range. Nagi, though, can't seem to put Rock-On down and take him out. Nagi then tells Rock-On that he fell into our trap, meaning Nagi and Kojiro's. Nagi then uses trump card number 4, a Negi original spell. They both prepare their ultimate finishing moves. Nagi makes a giant magical spear. Rock-On puts all his chi into his right fist. Negi doesn't throw the spear yet, though. Nagi then uses trump card number 5, Negika Magia Arabia, where there's a huge giant circle underneath him, like one of those magical circles underneath him. Nagi then absorbs Rock-On's attack, and Nagi then strikes Rock-On. Evangeline, who's watching the fight, comments that he made the ultimate Magia Arabia fighting spell, and that she tried to make it, but given up on developing the illusory technique. Nagi then throws a giant spear at Rock-On, and Rock-On looks to be just down. Thinking that Rock-On is finished, Rock-On then punches Nagi in the face and removes the spear from his body. They then just keep punching each other with no skill or strategy until they both fall to the ground, and the fight is declared a draw. So, they're at a penthouse, and I think, or an inn or something, and Nagi and Kojiro are healed. Rock-On appears and tells Nagi that he has nothing left to teach him. Evangeline appears and tells him that she was surprised. Negi was inside of her scroll to develop a new spell. Negi tells her that the only original tech he made was the lightning speed Shundo, and the rest were her own theories. Natsumi, Akira, and Akko get their colors removed. So, you see Negi alone, and he is in a lot of pain. Rock-On appears and tells them that he should get those looked at. Nagi leaves, and Evangeline appears with talking to Rock-On. Rock-On tells Evangeline that it's a Magia Arabia eating away at him. So at the end of the volume, Rock-On says that Negi and his married woman will hold this world's destiny in their hands. Thoughts on volume 27. Nagi and Kojiro versus Rock-On and Kagetaro versus Kagetaro was what this volume was all about. There were just surprises in the forms of trump cards. A lot of intelligence and strategy was used that allowed Nagi to do as well as he did. It wasn't just that Negi got stronger. He, in a sense, outsmarted Rock-On. Negi is getting infinitely stronger with these new abilities, and looks to be on the same playing field with the likes of Evangeline, Rock-On, etc. That battle was just really cool. Lots of surprises. Rock-On was downright invincible. He never actually lost. And yet Negi did really well. It also goes to show how strong a la Rubro must have been, because, Rock-On is really powerful. But then he had Nagi, Zect, Aishun apparently was like super powerful back then, and Alberio. So yeah, Negi is now on that level. So the slaves are freed. That's good. There's progress to this ultimate plan, and I'd imagine that there are candidates to make Pactio cards with, like Akira, Natsume, or Akko. He can probably make Pactio cards with them. Akko played a big role in this too. Her story with Nagi in a way came to the unfortunate end where she learned the truth. We kind of knew this would happen. I mean, it's that she'd find out, and it finally did, but it wasn't like it was hard on her, but not like super hard, I guess. I guess Tosaka wasn't such a bad guy. Um, he may even have a thing for Akko. It seems like. Um, we saw that Negi was using Magia Arabia a lot, and that it's eating away at him. What this means for like Negi moving forward is still kind of a mystery. He's obviously in pain. He gets weakened by it, and it obviously isn't good. But he's going to have to use that ability, especially if he fights Fate and whatnot. So yeah, good volume. I mean, it was all about the big fight. That big fight delivered with incredible magical spells, um, some just face punching, heart toughness were all on display. So, volume 28, the volume begins with Negi and Kataro becoming their normal forms. Haruna, Setsuna, Kaede, Asakura, Kufe, and Sayo return. They have a debriefing, and Haruna reveals that they have found the exact location of the gate port. It's in the center of the floating castle of Ostia. Chacha Mara picked up two signals from Ala Alba badges near the gate port. They think that they come from Anya and Yue. Negi tells them that they will infiltrate their hideout, rescue Yue and Anya, head to the gate port, and go home. At the festival, Yue and the class rep walk around and have ice cream. So obviously they have the wrong idea about whose badges they are. It's not Yue, it's Asuna. We know that though. Negi, Asuna, well, fake Asuna, and Nadoka also walk around the festival. They run into Yue and the class rep. Elsewhere, Haruna talks to Make, Yuna, Natsumi, Akko, and Akira about the whole situation. She then tells them to make a pact deal with Negi. Or just make a pact deal, because to Natsume, she doesn't necessarily have to make one with Negi. Nodoka runs up to Yue and hugs her, but Yue doesn't seem to know who she is. So Colette and Beatrix meet up with them, and Colette recognizes them as wanted criminals. They then try to apprehend Negi but fail, and Negi accidentally gets all the girls naked. Class rep gets a message not to contact the government general. She's also told not to arrest the boy or his friends. So they get dressed, and they talk at a cafe. They tell her that Yue has amnesia. Nodoka wants to take her back home, but class rep tells them that he needs proof that she is the Yue that they're talking about. Negi talks to Yue through the Pacto card. Yue starts to overheat, and her friends think that Negi casted something on her. They reveal that Negi is the Thousand Master's son. So all of a sudden, Megalomasambria soldiers and the Governor General approach them. Governor General asks who that boy is. Also at the festival, Setsuna and Kanoko have a date. Back with the Governor General, Kurt Godell tells them that he and his personal bodyguards came out because of a report of naked girls in the festival. He also tells them that he has a weak constitution. Godell then remembers that Negi is the son of the great hero who saved the world, and also of Arika Anarchia, the Queen of Calamity, and the witch who destroyed her own country and people. Also, Setsuna and Kanoka make a pactio or probationary contract together, meaning that Setsuna now has two pactio cards. Elsewhere, Natsumi thinks of making a pactio card with Kotaro. All the other girls think about making patios with Negi. Back with like Negi gets angry about Kurt insulting his mother. Grandmaster Saris appears with Ariadne Knights telling Kurt that he has no authority to arrest that boy now. Kurt seems to know that Negi is the Nagi imposter who defeated Jack Rockon. He then tells Negi that with his power he could save the world. He asks to join him and offers him half the world, and Negi strongly refuses. Negi then defeats Kurt's soldiers. Kurt gets two swords and shows his demon exorcising technique. Kurt cuts through Negi's barrier, and it turns out that he knows how to use the Shinmei school style. He also uses Zanmaken, which is the demon slicing sword's second blade. Kurt then uses Zanmaken's second blade to get the girls naked, and he cuts Asuna unintentionally. Kurt is surprised that she didn't cancel out the attack. He asks Negi if he'd like to know who his true adversary is. The choices are the mysterious organization plotting to destroy the world, the person who stole his father, and the one who burned his village. Negi still refuses Kurt and uses Thunder in Heaven to create Vigor too. A smoke screen comes out of nowhere and Tosaka helps him retreat. Back at an inn, Kanoko heals Asuna and Negi. Kanoko also gives him special ointment, which Asuna wants to use on Negi. With Asuna and Negi alone, Negi tells her that he won't let anything happen to her and that he will always protect her. In a bathroom, Asuna goes looks at a mirror and is blushing while looking at it. She then becomes Shiori. She needs to keep her wits about her for just one more day. Negi is sent an invitation to the ball from Kurt Godel. Rockon enters in and tells Negi that he heard that he got whooped by Aishun's apprentice. Negi opens the invitation and a Kurt hologram speaks to him. He tells him that he'll supply dresses to the girls. He says he won't lay a finger on the girls and will take them off the wanted list. He will answer any question that he has and tells him to come as Nagi the Gladiator. Rockon tells Negi that Kurt was once a part of Ala Rubra. Aishun reluctantly started to teach him. Kurt parted with Ala Rubra and got into politics. Negi reveals to Kanoko and Setsuna that Asuna belongs to the magical world, and that she is the princess of the destroyed kingdom of Ostia. Haruna tells the girls that they'll never find a more romantic situation than at the palace at the ball to, I guess, make the pactio. Nadoko says bye to the treasure hunters. Yuna and Make say bye to Johnny-san and like his buddy Toragoro-san, who you don't see very much. Natsumi, Ako, and Akira say bye to the chief. Tosaka reveals to Negi that they all loved Princess Rika, even though she's called the Queen of Calamity. Natsumi looks at a huge world map. She notices that the names of places of the magical world are the same as places in the planet Mars. They have a meeting and come to the theory that Mundus Magicus, the magical world, is really an illusion world that exists over Mars. Or it's pretty much like they're on Mars, but in some sort of like illusion world of Mars. Negi says it's an artificial world. He says that when he hears the word Mars, he's reminded of Chao Lingshan. Negi and his group, along with Rockon, go to the ball. Rockon sees a tower in the distance and tells everyone that he needs to use the bathroom. Fate is also at the ball at that tower that Rockon saw, and at the end of the volume, Rockon approaches Fate. So thoughts on volume 28. Kurt Godel, looks to be quite powerful and an interesting antagonist. He seems to know the right buttons to push with Negi, but also looks to have a lot of information. It's very interesting to see what happens between the interaction between Negi and Kurt. It's also very interesting that Kurt was indeed a member of Ala Rura, the good guys, and right now he seems like one of the bad guys. The ball is an obvious trap. However, it looks like Negi accepted the invitation, and potential for situations to spring up are abundant. They have already hinted at, like, making, it's a romantic place for the Pactios. Now, Negi's got to confront Kurt here, so we just don't know what's going to happen at the ball. So everything's this volume is kind of leading up to this ball. Shiori as Asuna got pretty interesting as well. Shiori looks like she's maybe taking a liking to Negi and got a bit emotional. We don't really know what the plan is with her exactly, but she's there, as Asuna in disguise. Yue's around. Doesn't seem to be officially back with Negi's team though. She's still clearly in love with Negi though. I guess one of the big mysteries is that Mundus Magicus is actually a fake Mars, and it's one of the big reveals of the story. What it actually means, though, and how this reality comes into play is still kind of a mystery. Like, okay, they have come up with this theory that they're pretty much on Mars or some fake illusionary world of Mars or something like that. But what does it mean? Like, what bigger consequence does having this information and knowing this have exactly? They mentioned Chao Langshan here, uh, but what pairing that plays, we don't really know. It's like, oh, okay, hey, here's a connection now. Like, we're on Mars. Chao Langshan said she was a Martian, so maybe there's some connection there. Okay, but what's the connection? We still don't know. So we're introduced to some new questions here, and man, it looks like some guys like Kurt Godell might have some answers and whatnot. Looks like Rockon's going to have some big showdown with Fate, so that should be very interesting as well. And then we have the big ball coming up. So that's all for today. If you like this, don't forget to subscribe, share, and comment to this channel if you're on YouTube, or follow, share, and comment on this channel if you're listening to this on SoundCloud. If you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher, please rate, review, and share this channel. Thank you for listening to these manga reviews. Next week I will review volumes 29 through 32 and also read pages 1 to 5 of my short story, The Orthodox Clash. Thank you, and until next time.